On April 25, 2025, a dramatic scene unfolded in a Milwaukee County courtroom, sending shockwaves through the legal community and beyond. Hannah Dugan, a respected Milwaukee County Circuit judge, was arrested by the Federal Bureau of Investigation inside the very courthouse where she presided. The arrest, witnessed by stunned colleagues and members of the public, stemmed from an incident that occurred just 1 week prior. On April 18th, Dugan was presiding over a hearing when Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents entered the courtroom. Their target, Eduardo Flores Ruiz, a Mexican immigrant with a prior deportation order, facing charges of illegal re-entry and domestic violence. What transpired next is a point of contention, with differing accounts from those present. What is undisputed is that Flores Ruiz, instead of being apprehended by ICE, managed to leave the courtroom and evade immediate arrest. The FBI alleges that Judge Dugan actively obstructed their operation, providing misleading information to ICE agents and ultimately aiding Flores Ruiz's escape. They claim that Dugan deliberately misdirected the agents to the Chief Judge's office, all the while knowing Flores Ruiz was elsewhere in the building. Furthermore, the FBI contends that Dugan then directed Flores Ruiz and his attorney to exit through a non-public area, allowing them to temporarily avoid apprehension. Flores Ruiz, who had been living in Milwaukee for over a decade working as a cook, was apprehended later that day after a brief foot chase outside the courthouse. He remains in custody, facing charges related to both his immigration status and the alleged domestic violence incidents. The arrest of Judge Dugan, however, brought the case into a much harsher spotlight, raising questions about the limits of judicial authority and the complex interplay between state and federal law enforcement. The arrest of Judge Dugan sent shockwaves through the legal and political landscapes, sparking immediate and heated debate. The Justice Department wasted no time in filing charges, indicting Dugan on 2 felony counts: obstruction of a U.S. agency and concealing an individual to prevent arrest. If convicted, Dugan faces a potential sentence of several years in prison and the likely end of her judicial career. The crux of the case against Dugan rests on proving intent. Prosecutors must demonstrate that she not only took actions that hindered the ICE operation, but that she did so with the specific knowledge and purpose of preventing Flores Ruiz's arrest. Dugan's defense team, led by prominent attorney Steve Biskupik, vehemently denies these allegations, maintaining that the judge acted within the bounds of her judicial authority and with no intention of obstructing justice. Adding another layer of complexity to the case is the question of the warrant ICE agents were operating under at the time of the incident. If, as some reports suggest, the agents were attempting to detain Flores Ruiz based solely on an administrative immigration warrant, rather than a judicial warrant signed by a judge, Dugan's defense could argue that she was well within her rights to question the legality of the attempted arrest. The case has quickly become a flashpoint in the ongoing national debate over immigration enforcement and the role of local officials in cooperating with federal agencies. Proponents of Dugan's actions argue that she was upholding the sanctity of the courtroom and protecting the rights of an individual facing what they perceive as overly aggressive immigration tactics. Opponents, however, contend that Dugan's actions crossed a line, demonstrating a blatant disregard for federal law, and potentially endangering public safety by aiding an individual with a criminal record to evade arrest. The arrest and subsequent charges against Judge Dugan have led to a wide array of reactions and repercussions. Legal experts, community leaders, and the general public have all weighed in on the matter, reflecting a deeply divided opinion on the issue. Some view Dugan as a hero who stood up against what they see as unjust and overreaching immigration enforcement. Others see her as a lawbreaker who undermined federal authority and jeopardized public safety. The legal community is particularly abuzz, with some judges and attorneys expressing concern over the implications of the case for judicial independence. They worry that the arrest sets a dangerous precedent, potentially deterring judges from making decisions that could be perceived as controversial or politically charged. On the other hand, there are those who believe that no one, not even a judge, is above the law, and that Dugan's actions warranted the response from federal authorities. Public protests and rallies have been held in support of Judge Dugan, with advocates calling for her immediate release and the dismissal of charges. Meanwhile, others have organized counter-protests, emphasizing the importance of upholding federal laws and the need for accountability in the judiciary. The case has also caught the attention of politicians, with some using it as a platform to discuss broader issues of immigration reform and judicial accountability. The debate is likely to continue as the legal proceedings unfold and more details come to light. The case of Judge Hannah Dugan has highlighted the deep divisions within the United States on issues of immigration, judicial authority, and federal versus state power. It has become a symbol of the larger ongoing struggles that define the nation's political and social landscape. For some, Dugan's actions represent a courageous stand against what they see as an unjust system, and they argue that her arrest is an overreach by federal authorities. For others, her actions are seen as a dangerous precedent that undermines the rule of law and the proper functioning of the judicial system. As the nation watches the legal battle unfold, the case serves as a reminder of the complex and often contentious nature of the relationship between different branches of government and the varying interpretations of justice and authority. It is a situation that has no easy answers, and one that will likely continue to provoke strong emotions and opinions on all sides. In the end, the case of Judge Dugan is more than just a legal battle. It is a reflection of the broader societal debates that continue to shape the United States. The outcome of this case, whatever it may be, will undoubtedly have lasting implications for the legal community, the justice system, and the nation as a whole.